Hello, my name is Joshua Biemboedi, and I'm your usual tutor or lecturer for tax, Ghana tax law for your examination at ICA examination for the November examination and forward. And we are continuing our lecture or our studies on capital allowances. Yesterday I was talking about deferment and carry forward. I did tell you that for deferment, companies can no longer defer or they cannot defer their capital allowance to a particular year or to a following year. So if you have a capital allowance for one particular year, you cannot decide to defer it to the following year and take it to in the following year. So for instance, if you have a capital allowance for 2016, you cannot defer that capital allowance for 2017. You can only take it in 2016. However, there are certain industries that has been exempted. And so certain industries can carry forward their capital allowances for some number of specific years. Now, the petroleum industry, the minerals industry, that is the mining of gold and other minerals. We have insurance, we have banking, etc. They can carry forward their capital allowance for 5 years. Now, all other businesses can carry forward their capital allowance for 3 years. So note this critically. Then let's go to another clarification that I need to make before we move on to our work for today. Now, when I was explaining to you the class 4 and the class 5 assets, I did tell you that you pull the assets together, then look at the useful economic life. According to the Ghana tax law, now, class 4 and class 5 assets should be depreciated separately from one another. So if you have, say, a class 4 assets, say A and B, you cannot pull, and each, let's take it for instance, each costs 10,000 and 1,000 and 1,500. If it were to be class 1, 2, and 3, you pull their amount together to get 2,500. That is on this amount that you are going to calculate their capital allowance. For class 4 depreciable assets, you cannot do this. You have to depreciate the assets separately from one another. Class 5 too, on a straight line method, using the straight line method. So for class 4 and 5, take note of that critically. You have to put the different assets or depreciate the different assets separately from one another using the straight line method. So note that we are going to look at one question and we are going to see how we do the computation for class 4 and class 5 assets. Now let's go on to some clarification that I want you to know. Now, road vehicle, and commercial vehicle. Now, under the old tax system, it stated that a road vehicle's cost should not exceed 25,000 Ghana cedis. 25,000 Ghana cedis. This is no more. This is no more. And within the new Ghana tax law, Act 6869, the new amount or the ceiling for a road vehicle is 75,000 Ghana cedis. Note this critically. We are going to look at a question that will feature this. So it's now 75,000. There is no ceiling to the amount of a commercial vehicle. The amount you can use to buy a commercial vehicle. There is no ceiling. So there is no ceiling here. So take note of this critically. We are going to look at a question that will involve all that I'm discussing and explaining to you. So take note of that critically. Now I would like you to look at now the depreciation basis. The depreciation basis under the new Ghana tax law. Note this critically. It states that at a particular time, if the depreciation basis of a particular class is less than 500 cedis, is less than, if the depreciation basis is less than 500 Ghana cedis, then this 500 Ghana cedis, less than that amount, would be allowed as capital allowance or depreciation for that particular year. Note that if after calculating your capital allowance and the depreciation basis or the amount left for a pool or for the total amount of a pool of assets is less than 500 Ghana cedis, that amount will be allowed as capital allowance for the year. Note that critically. I want you to note that critically. Now let's go to the pool of assets. Now we have class 1. What assets fall under class 1? Now we have computers, data handling, machines, and peripherals of computers. So if you look at class 1, the assets that fall under class 1 is computers, data handling machines, and peripherals of computer peripherals. I would like to get. So let's look at them. Then class 2. Class 2, we have two classes. We have two categories. We have I. Now, if you want to look at the I would like you to use this simple acronym for class 2I. Use this simple acronym. Use the acronym A, B, C, E. Look at the acronym. I would like you to use the acronym A, B, C, E, H, P, A, B, C, H, P, T. Now, the acronym, you can use this. ABC Entertainment harassed Pope Skinny today. ABC Entertainment harassed Pope Skinny today. I'm using this. I am not using Pope Skinny because Pope Skinny is my favorite musician or what, but I want you to remember something that will help you understand the thing faster and be able to identify class 2 assets fast enough for when you are in the examination. So use A, B, C, E, H, P, T, which stands for, you can recite it, A, B, C, entertainment, harass, prop, skinny, today. What does the A stand for? The A stands for automobiles, or you can use that, automobiles. The B stands for buses, and mini buses. The C stands for construction equipment. Then E from earth moving equipment. Then heavy duty machines. So you are looking at heavy duty machines, or heavy general purpose or specialized trucks. So it's heavy general purpose and specialized trucks. Then you look at P. The P stands for plant and machinery. Used, note this, used in manufacturing. So this plant and machinery, every plant and machinery used in manufacturing should fall under class 2I. Then trailers and trailer mounted vehicles, or trailer mounted containers. So if you want to remember class 2I assets faster, I've told you that use A, B, C, E, H, P, T. Which ones? A, B, C, entertainment, harass, prop, skinny, today. You can remember class 2 assets. But however, you have to look at it critically, that these buses, automobile, private vehicles, buses that carry passengers for commercial purposes, and construction equipment, earth-moving equipment used in construction, heavy general purpose and specialized truck, it is also used in construction, plant and machinery used in manufacturing. So if you have any plant and machinery that you are using in manufacturing, that one will also fall under class 2I. Then trailers and trailer mounted containers will also fall under class 2I. Now let's look at class 2II. So all that I have written on the board will fall under class 2I. Then class 2II, what assets fall under that? When you look at page 123 of the text kernel of the Act, it will tell you assets resulting from expense referred to in subparagraph 4 in respect of long-term crop planting costs. So these assets are used in crop planting activities, and all those assets will fall under class 2I with a depreciable rate of 30%. Then class 3 assets, we have railroad cars, locomotives and equipment, vessels, barges, tugs, and similar water transport equipment. So here you look at it, you should see that all water transport equipment will fall under class 3, but all manufacturing equipment will fall under class 2. Note, All manufacturing equipment will fall under class 2. All water transport equipment will fall under class 2. Then we have aircraft. So these aviation industries, these aircraft companies, their aircrafts that they use when they want to depreciate or calculate capital allowance, it will fall under class 3. Specialized public utility plant equipment and machinery. Look at the word specialized public utility. If it's plant and equipment used in manufacturing, it is class 2. But if it's specialized plant, equipment and machinery, it falls under class 3. We are going to look at a question. So May 2013 question. And we are going to solve it using the current 2015 tax law and rates for you to understand what I'm talking about. Then we have office furniture. Now is class 3, but first was class 4. Now we have fixtures and equipment, class 3. Any depreciable asset not included in any class. So if you have an asset that you cannot classify under each of the class, you classify it under class 3. Then you have class 4. Class 4 assets are buildings, structures, and similar assets of permanent nature. So this, we have buildings and structures of permanent nature, such as warehouses and the rest. You can name some. Those are permanent buildings or permanent structures with permanent nature. Then class 5 assets are intangible assets. Intangible assets. So if you are asked to name some intangible assets, can have goodwill, patent, copyright, and the rest. All those are intangible assets. I have already told you that class 1, class 2, and class 3 are depreciated using the reducing balance method. And class 4 and class 5 are depreciated using the straight line method. So now, let's look at a question. Let's look at a question. A question that will help us understand all that I have explained to you. And possibly you will be able to finish everything well so that you will understand totally what capital allowance computation is under the new Ghana tax system Act 869. Let's look at May 2013 question. You can find this question online on ICA's website. May 2013 question. We are going to solve that using 2016 or Act 869 rates and provisions to solve that question. So I read the question to you. Hypec Manufacturing Company Limited, producers of household utensils for both the local and export market, commenced business on 1st May 2008. They commenced business on 1st May 2008. Note that date critical. Note that date critical. 1st May 2008. I have to be honest with you that we are not going to solve the whole thing, but we are going to solve only the capital allowance section of the question. The rest we are not going to solve it. We are going to solve only the capital allowance section so that you will understand what the new application or the new tax law is. The company acquired the following assets or chargeable assets for use in the business, which is located at Takwa in the Western region. Takwa in the Western region. If it says that Takwa in the Western region, is drawing your attention to location incentives. To location incentives. So we will deal with that later. But for now, let me explain that to you. When you are a company and you are located in Accra, you pay 25% of your total profit for the year as tax. When you are located in other regional capitals, you pay 18.75% And when you are located elsewhere, apart from Tema, Accra, or the regional capitals, you pay 12 point, I think 12.25 or 12.75. I'll check and tell you. 12.25 or 12.75%. So that is the location you said. So the tapa they placed there is not actually anything. It is drawing attention to location incentives. Now, the asset has been listed: building, office equipment, computer, software, Toyota saloon car, office furniture, Nissan bus, Toyota Land Cruiser, data handling machine, Toyota bus, office equipment. The Toyota saloon car was sold on 1st September 2010 for 24,000. The Nissan bus was involved in an accident in October 2010, and on 15th December 2010, 22,000 compensation was received from the business insurance company. So here, in actual fact, they received compensation. So you treat the asset as if it has been realized or the asset has been sold. So you deduct this amount from the written down value of the asset. Now, some of the office equipment bought in 2008 were sold in July 2010. You should be critical about the date, for 17,000, and 20,000 was paid in 2011 for extension works on the building. Look at this part critical. So this one, extension work, is a class 4 asset. Under the new Ghana tax law, it's a class 4 asset. The class 4 provision is saying that you cannot add that amount to the written down value or the whole assets, the total amount of the assets in the pool, and depreciate it, but rather you have to depreciate this or calculate capital allowance for this asset separately. So we are going to look at the computation. So let's start the computation for this capital allowance. So we are now going to, so you have to go on, you have to follow, get the question from online, and let's move forward as you follow me, and we are going to solve the question. Now, building is now a class 4 asset, so you put 4 and you circle it in front of building. Office equipment is class 3, computer software is class 1. We are using the new Ghana tax law. Toyota saloon car is class 2, 2I, class 2I. Office furniture is class 3. Nissan bus is class 2. Toyota Land Cruiser is class 2I. Data handling machine is class 1. Toyota bus is class 2. And office equipment is class 3. So note that. So let's start the computation. So you start by saying high tech company capital, let me use shorthand, capital allowance computation. Okay, let me do it for high tech company. You underline capital allowance computation. Now we have class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, and we have class. Let me arrange it well. Or we will be faced with space problems. So we have class 1, class 2, we have class 3 plus 4 plus class 4A. Then we have total here. A plus 4A. So we have total here. Somebody can choose to add the rates. So here is 40%, here is 30%, here is 20%, here is 10%. Oh, my thing is clumsy. Let me do it for please. My thing is clumsy. So we have class 1, which is 40%, class 2, which is 30%, class 3, which is 20%, we have class 4, which is 10%, we have class 4E, which is also 10%, and we have the total. So let's start. Now the basics, it says that the company commenced business on 1st May. So 1st May 2008 to 31st December 2008. That is the basis period. So here, what we are going to do is, we are going to look at the number of days in the basis period. Remember, the computation of capital allowance is given by the formula A times B times C, where C is the number of basis period in the year. So if the company started halfway through the year, we are going to find the number of days in the basis period. So let's find the number of days in the basis period. The number of days in the basis period. So now if the company started in May, that is May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Now we are going back to our KG, where we are going to recite our code. 30 days as September, April, June, and November. All the rest has 31. So this one will give you 31, 31, 31, 31, and 31. Now when we add all of this, we are going to get 245. 345 days. So that is the days we are going to use within the basis period. That is the days we are going to use within the basis period. So let's start. And within the question, it says that class 1, that's the year 2008, when they started with building, which was 200,000. So that is class 4, 200,000. Then office equipment. Office equipment is now class 3. Office equipment is now class 3, which is 15,000. 15,000. Then let's go to computer software class 1, 400,000. 400,000. Then Toyota saloon car, which is 40,000. Note, under the old tax regime, they would have restricted the amount to 25,000. But under the new tax regime, it says that the ceiling is 75,000. So it means that this whole 40,000 qualify as total amount to be included in this class under the new Ghana tax system. So we have 40,000. So let's go on and calculate our capital allowance. So this is the depreciation basis. Now let's go on calculate our capital allowance. Let's use our sorting for capital allowance. Now here, let's start with class 1. And let's see how we are going to do. So if the capital allowance is equal to A times B times C all over 365, then we are going to get A, which is the depreciation base is 400,000 times the rate, which is 0.40 or 0.4, times the C, which is the number of days in the basis period, which we calculated as 245 days, all over 365 days. So the final answer we are going to get is 1,107,397 to the nearest whole number. So that is the capital allowance for this side for class 1. So that is how we calculated the capital allowance. And so that is how we are going to calculate the capital allowance. You are going to do the computation of the capital allowance using the, class 2 will be 40,000 times 0.3 times 245 over 365. Then class 3 will be 15,000 times 0.2 times 245 over 365. Then class 4 will be, since class 4 is not for a full year, and it's going to be depreciated on the straight line method, but it was not a full year, we will apportion it according to the number of days it has been used. So it's going to be 200,000 times 0.1 times 245 over 365 days, and that one will give us our capital allowance. So let's look at the capital allowance that we have computed. So the capital allowance for class 1 is 107,397. Then capital allowance is 855. Then we have 2014. Then we have 13425. So after we have calculated this capital allowance, we will sum all of it up, and we will write the total here, which is 130,891. So that is the total capital allowance for the. Let's look at the written down values. So we are going to subtract this from that, and we are going to get 292,603. We have 31945. Then we have 12986. Then we have 186575. So that is the breaking down. Let's go to year 2009. So 1st January 09 to 31st December 09. So that is a full year. So this is the written down allowance for year 2009. When you look at the question, year 2009, there were some additions that we made. Toyota Saloon car, office furniture, and Nissan bus. Office furniture, Nissan bus, and Toyota. So we are going to, no, we added only office furniture and Nissan bus. Only 2 assets were added. That was office furniture and Nissan bus. That was February 2009 and April 2009. 8,000 and 50,000. So we are going to add that. So we write here addition. So office furniture is what? Office furniture is class 3. So we will add 8,000. That was the office furniture. Then the Nissan bus is class 2, which is 50,000. So we will add them up. So this one there was no addition, so we are going to get 292,603. So here we are going to get 81945. Then we are going to get 2986. Then we are going to get 186,575. So that is the total basis, depreciation basis. So let's calculate the capital allowance. Now, since this is a full year, we are not going to use the number of days in the basis period. So here we are going to calculate the capital allowance on a straight basis using the rate. So it will be 0.4 times 292,603. So how much are we going to get? We didn't use the basis, the number of days. Why? Because in actual fact, when we use A times B times C all over 365, the C, let's use class 1. We are going to get 292,603 times 0.40 times 365, because it's a full year, all over 365 days. So here, this will cancel this, so it will be left with 0.4 times 292. So if you want to calculate the capital allowance, we have to multiply the rate by this one for a full year. So that is how we are not going to multiply by 365 and divide by 365. So for class 1, we are going to 0.4 times 292, which will give us 117,041. Then class 2 will give us that's 0.3 times 8, 181945, will give us 24,584. Then class 3 is 0.2 times this, which will give us 4197. Remember, we are deducting. Then class 4. Now, I told you that we are depreciating. We depreciate class 4 and class 5 on a straight line basis. So here, we depreciated it. We didn't use the full year's depreciation on a straight line, which was supposed to be 20,000, but rather it was bought halfway. So we used 13425. However, here it is a full year, and since we are depreciating on a straight line method, it should be 20,000. How did we get the 20,000? It is 0.1. That is the 10% times the 200,000. The 200,000, which will give us 20,000. So that is a straight line. So it means that every full year we are going to recognize 20,000. Every full year, 20,000. So let's subtract. So if we subtract, we are going to get the written down value. So the first one will be 175,562, then 57,361, then 167,89, then we are going to get 166,575. So what is the total if we add all of this up? Then we are going to get 165,822. So that is the total capital allowance for year 2009. Now let's look at 2010. That is 1st January 2010 to 31st January 31st December 2010. Now, in 2010, the question says that a Toyota saloon car was sold on 1st September 2010. So this Toyota saloon car, which was uh, which we bought in 28, was sold. So we are going to subtract the 24,000. Then the Nizam bus, which was involved in an accident on October 2010, and on 15th December 2010, 22,000 compensation was received from the insurance company. So here, what we are going to do is that we are going to treat it as if we have realized the asset. So here we have 24,000 for Toyota saloon car and 22,000 for the Nizam bus. So we add the two, and when we add 24,000 and 22,000, we are going to get 46,000. So we will treat it as if we have realized the asset, we sold the asset, and now it is class 2. So it will be disposal, which is 46,000. Then there wasn't any disposal. Then we go on. Some of the office equipment bought in 2008 were sold in July 2010. Be careful with the dates. Critical with the date. For 17,000. So here, class 3 assets, which is 17,000, was also sold. So here, so we are subtracting it from the depreciation basis. So it's now 17,000. Then on that same year, and 20,000 was paid in December. Okay, so let's ignore that. So that one is not in 2010, it's in 2011. So let's go through. So here, when we subtract that, there wasn't any disposal here, there wasn't any disposal here. So what amount are we going to get? So here, the first one, we are going to get 175,562. Then we are going to get 11,361. Then we have, so here, when you subtract this from this, we are going to get excess of this over this. How, under the new tax law, how should we treat that? Under the new tax law, how should we treat that? Let's go to under the new tax. I would like you to refer, if you have it, to page 127. Let me read something for you. 127. Then when you look 4I, it says that for the purpose of computing the income tax of a person for a year of assessment of a business in which a depreciable asset of a particular class was employed, the Commissioner General shall include the excess of the following two amounts. The excess of the following two amounts. The consideration received by the person during the year for any asset that was in a particular pool of depreciable assets of the person during the year, reduced by, so here, this is the consideration that you received from selling the assets. Now, if you reduce that by the depreciation basis for that particular year, which is this one, any excess is treated as business income. That is basically what it means. Any excess is treated as business income. So here, when we compute that, we are going to get 211, but we are not going to include that here. So maybe you write it or you indicate it somewhere, like you indicate it at at some part of the book and say, when you subtract, you get 211, so you circle it and say business income. So when you are computing the business income of the company, under the income section, you include this as gain on disposal of assets. So here is dash. Then we have 166,575. So let's go on and compute our capital allowance. Let's go on and compute our capital allowance. So the capital allowance, since this year is also a full year, we will be using only the rates. We shall use only the rates. So in the capital allowance will be 70225. Then we have 3408. Then here will be dash. Then we have we are going to get 20,000 because it's on straight line method. So we are going to use 20,000. So let's look at the depreciation, the written down values. Here will be dash. So here you subtract. So here, what are we going to get? We are going to get 105, 337. Then we have 7953. And here will be dash. Then we are going to get 146575. So that is the written down value or the depreciation basis. So let's go to 2011. 2011. 2011. Please forgive me, my calculation is going down, moving low, but I'm squeezed for space, so we shall try and manage it. So here in 2011, I would like you to look at this critical. Look at this critical. In 2011, there was a Toyota bus and a Toyota Land Cruiser that was added. Now, the Toyota bus, there is no ceiling to it, and the cost was 70,000 Ghana cedis. 70,000 Ghana cedis. But the Toyota Land Cruiser, which is a road vehicle, cost 80,000. Now, under the new Ghana tax law, there should be a ceiling of 75,000, or there is a ceiling of 75,000. So you cannot allow all the 80,000. So you have to restrict it to 75,000. So here you have 75,000 for the Toyota Land Cruiser. Then the total, the Toyota bus is 70,000. That one there's no restriction. So you add the two, which is class 2 assets. So you get 145,000. That is how much we are going to recognize under the new Ghana tax law. But for the old tax law, they would have recorded only 25,000. So note that. So here we are going to record 145,000. Now we didn't add the capital allowance up. So the capital allowance for 2010 will be here will be 93633. Now, so let's look at the additions. So here we are going to add, but look at it critically. That was the computation I did was only for class 2. Then there is also a data handling machine that was acquired in 2011. That one is 90,000. So that will fall under class 1. So we add 90,000. Then there is also office equipment, which was 9,000. That one is class 3. So we add 9,000. Then class 2 is what I computed, which is 145,000. So let's add them up. So when we add them up, we are going to get 195,337. 195,337. Then 152,953. This will give us 9,000, and this will give us 146,575. So I would like you to compute the capital allowance for that particular year. Compute the capital allowance for that particular year. Let's compute the capital allowance for that particular year. So let's use the top. Let's use the top for the capital allowance. So we have the depreciation basis. So let's come here, the depreciation basis. That is for class 1, it was 195,337, 152,953. Then we have 9,000. Then we have 146,575. However, look at here. There was also addition or extension work that was done. So that one we cannot go and add the 20,000 to the 146. According to the Ghana tax law, we should depreciate that differently or separately. So here we are going to look at that under 4E, which is 20,000. So that's why I included 4E, which is 20,000. Now let's look at the capital allowance. The capital allowance. So when we are going to calculate the capital, say this is a full year for 2011, we are going to use only the rate. So here is 40%. So here, if it is 40%, 40% times 195 will give us 781,135 to subtract. Then here we have 30% will give us 45,886. Then we have 1,800, which is 20%. Then here is a straight line method. So look at it critically. It's straight line method. So we are going to recognize 20,000. Then here, that one is also a straight line method. And we are going to use the class 4 rate, which is 10%. So 10% times 20,000 will give us 2,000. So we are going to subtract that. So here, after that, you look at the total amount of the capital allowance. So when you add all of this up, you are going to get 147,821. So that is the total capital allowance for 2011. So let's look at the written down values or depreciation basis. So we have 117,202. Then we have 107,067. 067. Then we have 7,200. Then we have 126,575. Then here will give us 18,000. So that is the depreciation basis. Depreciation basis or written down value of the assets. So we have finished with May 2013 question using the new Ghana tax law and their rates applicable to them and the provisions to solve the question. I hope you enjoyed this session. I'll be uploading more as we go on. God bless you for watching. And my name once again is Joshua Obimbodi. If you need any tuition, if you need any inquiries, if you need any assistance, I will make my number available to you. You can call me and we will talk.